In today's video, I'm going to bust 6 myths that you should not believe about WordPress. Hey guys, it's Yuvraj from the Brainstorm Force team, makers of the Astra theme for WordPress and some other amazing WordPress products. Now, before we get started, small disclaimer right here. All the content, or I say most of the myths I'm going to talk about today or bust today, I have kind of covered them in a course that I did recently, which is about speeding up your WordPress website. It's hosted on Skills Academy, which is a premium library, and also includes some of the free courses, which I'm going to talk about. But you can get access to that course and a lot of other courses by purchasing Astra's growth bundle, which includes Astra, Astra Pro, a lot of our products, and a lot of other goodies that you will not get anywhere else. So I'll leave links down in the description for everything, so you can check it out if the course makes sense to you. With that clarified, let's start talking about myth number 1, which is the myth that I see the most common, or I say the myth that I see a lot of people still believe. And the myth is using a large number of plugins on your website increases the load time of your website. Now, this is, or in hindsight, or just from a beginner's perspective, it does seem reasonably true that, okay, the more plugins that you keep adding on your website, the load time of your website will increase. But that's a myth. That does not happen because it's not the quantity of the plugins. It's actually the quality of the plugins themselves. And I'd say it's also the kind of, or the type of plugin that you decide to use on your website, which will determine if the load time of your website will increase or not, depending on the plugins that you use. So just to clarify, giving my personal experience, I've had websites where I've used more than 28 plugins on a site, and the load time, I'd say, was in the reasonable range, all passing all the tests. This was before Core Web Vitals came, so I'm not really sure if Core Web Vitals test passed. But it was a reasonably, I'd say, fast website, and it ranked in search engines perfectly fine. There were no issues on the site just because I used a certain number of plugins. Now, I also had some sites where I used just 3 or 4 different plugins, but the load time was really terrible, and that's why the user experience was terrible. And the rankings, I can't say for sure, but because I don't remember, it's been a long time. But the load time essentially was terrible, and the plugins, or I said the number of plugins that I used was just a very small amount of plugins. So when I had that experience for myself, I also stopped believing that number of plugins affect your load time. I also understood that it's not the quantity of plugins, it's the quality of the plugins themselves. And recently, or I'd say, I just added that fact on top of it, that it's also the type of plugins. I'll just clarify what I mean by that. Let me just get the quantity versus quality out of the way. So every plugin has a certain way, or there are a certain set of rules that they should work with, right? Depending on the kind of data they create, how they store data. Now, technically, I'm not a developer, but I understand the basics of, there are some certain, I'd say, best practices that plugins should use, the APIs that it should use, or how internally plugins are designed to work. Even without going into a lot of details, you can probably understand that there are good ways to do something and there are bad ways of doing something. So it also depends on how well the plugin is actually coded, what kind of resources it demands, how frequently it demands those resources, and actually how it puts everything together and manages its resources. So definitely not the quantity of plugins, it's the quality of plugins. And also the type of plugins. What I meant by that was that sometimes there's a plugin, or the functionality that the plugin is intended to do is used in a way that you cannot help increase the load time of a website. Let's say you add a plugin for adding some code snippets on your website, and you added a bunch of scripts on your website, which definitely take a lot of loading time. In that case, when your website's load time increases, is it the plugin or is it the actual scripts that increase the load time? So definitely the answer, no points for guessing, is that the actual scripts that you add, or the actual code snippets you add, would play the majority role in increasing the load time of a website. So in that case, you can definitely, there are other ways to manage the load time of a website, but you cannot blame the plugin in that case because it's doing its job and adding those scripts to a website. But most people, because they don't understand this, they might believe that, okay, just because I added this plugin, this is adding to the load time of my website. So with this information, I assume that now you don't believe that adding a number of plugins to your website will increase its load time. But I'm going to give you some additional information on how you can verify this for yourself. Earlier, there were plenty of, I'd say, products or services. So there was one very popular plugin that allowed you to measure the load time of individual plugins separately. And I'm just going to show you the screenshot, or I say, let's move to my screen. And the plugin was called the P3 Plugin Profiler. It was a very, I'd say, reputed plugin. It was used by a lot of people, but unfortunately, as you can see on the screen right here, it hasn't been tested with 3 major releases of WordPress, and it's kind of out of date, so I don't recommend using this plugin out there. So, but there are a couple of other solutions which you can use. One is, I'd say, a little more technical. The second one is more easier, but it does require a little bit extra time on your end to do this. So coming to the second solution, it's called the Query Monitor plugin. So what it does, it actually monitors all the queries that any plugin, or I'd say even WordPress services, I'm not really sure about that because I'm not a developer, as I said, but this is the plugin I've seen a lot of developers use to test how the code they're writing for WordPress impacts the actual load times of your site. So definitely it's a little bit more technical to understand, but if you have a developer friend, you can ask for their help, and maybe you have some experience which you can use to understand which of the plugins is causing a bigger load time impact on your website. And now, if you don't have this experience, doesn't mean you cannot do this test. There's a very simple way to do this as well. What you can simply do, this does require some amount of, I'd say, time, as I said. What you can do is just create a staging version of your website if your website is currently live. And what you can do is first measure the complete load time of a website, then disable all the plugins, measure the load time once again. That means you will be able to see the difference between all the, or I'll say you can find the difference that all the plugins are adding to your load time. So if you want to take this a step further, what you can do is just enable one plugin at a time and repeat the process of measuring the load time. So just enable one plugin, measure the load time of a website, make a note of it, then disable that plugin again, then enable the second plugin, then do it again. And do it for every single plugin, and then you'll be able to see individual load times that a single plugin is adding to your website. Definitely requires some amount of work, but it's an easy and I'd say the most straightforward way to understand if a plugin is adding some load time to your website. So that was all about myth number one. Let's talk about myth number two. And myth number two that I would like to bust today is never upload high resolution images on your website. Now, since this, I'm talking about this as a myth. So what I'm actually recommending is, or what I'm saying is that it does not matter if you upload high resolution images on your website. And it's a controversial opinion. Let me explain. Let me clarify this before you start bashing me in the comments saying you don't know what you're talking about. And if you purchase the course that I was talking about, I actually say the complete opposite in the course. But I'm not trying to change my opinion, or I haven't just realized or changed my mind completely. I'm going to give you a perspective that you can listen to and then decide if the advice is useful or not. So first thing, whenever you upload high resolution images on your website, why do you do it? There are multiple reasons that you upload high resolution, or I say full resolution images on your website. The first the more common reason is that people or you don't realize that, okay, it does cause a big issue with load time. If that's the case, this advice will be helpful to you. If you do it for a particular reason, for example, let's say you have a photography website and you are making your photos available for free, then you kind of have to upload the full resolution image if you want people to be able to download these images. In that case, obviously you understand that this is not a myth. You have a very particular use case why you're uploading full-size images on your site. So coming to the first set of people, or even if you believe that, or you don't realize that, okay, just taking a picture from your phone, which is a very high resolution camera nowadays, or from your DSLR or your cameras, and directly uploading them to your website or you never thought that it was maybe a bad idea, this is for you. Now, if you don't already know, WordPress automatically processes every image that you upload to your website. It's done through the media gallery, or I say the media options. And what happens is WordPress automatically creates multiple versions of each image that you upload to your site. So depending on the media resolution or media sizes that you've set inside your website or website settings, WordPress will automatically convert your image to smaller sizes. That's the first point. So that case, even if you upload a reasonably, I'd say moderate, high resolution image, moderately resolution image on your site, it's not going to make a huge difference unless there is your team does not handle it properly. That's the first thing. And secondly, even with all the improvements that have happened to WordPress still doesn't have a great image compression solution, right? So if you upload a very big image, it will resize the images, but it will not compress it, it will not optimize it, and even it won't convert it to WebP. Even in the WordPress 5.8 version, which I have covered in a few videos, there is support for WebP, but WebP, or what I mean to say is that if you upload WebP image directly on your site, it will be supported, but you cannot convert your JPG or PNG images to WebP format, which is a next-gen image format, and it's very compressed, I say much more efficient. So that does not happen inside WordPress. And what I've recommended even in the WordPress 5.8 video is that even with all the improvements in WordPress with image management and everything, you still need an image optimization or image management plugin, which takes care of compressing images, resizing images, and also converting them to WebP. And also falling back options, because WebP support is not still 100%. So there might be some users whose browsers does not support WebP. So your server has to process, or I say deliver JPG or PNG images to them. So in that case, we have recommended Imagify for all, I say all our videos. In our previous videos, we have done a couple of videos about image compression, about how to use WebP, and all many other plugins or many other videos we've recommended Imagify. So now, if you have any kind of image management solution, let's say Imagify, or any other kind of image management, or I'll say image processing solution like ShortPixel or any other, then you do not need to worry if you upload a high resolution image on your site, because once you set any of these plugins up, then it will automatically take care of all the things that you need to do manually if the plugin was not present in the first place. So resizing the image to a reasonable resolution, making multiple, multiple copies of the image with different resolutions, compressing the image to a large degree or whatever settings you've set, and also converting to next-gen image formats. Everything can be taken care of you if you use this plugin. And as I mentioned, even with all the improvements in WordPress, this is still a solution that you need to have. That is why the myth is you cannot or you should not upload high resolution images, because if you have a solution like this built in, you technically can upload high resolution images on your site and nothing will happen, at least for your load times on your website. I hope that clarifies. With that, let's move on to myth number 3. So myth number 3 that I'd like to bust today is that you need to install a sitemap plugin on your website. And that's a myth. You do not need to install a sitemap plugin on your website, or at least not a dedicated plugin to install, or I'd say create sitemaps on your website. Creating a sitemap is important, but you do not need to install a plugin for that. That is the myth part. You still need a sitemap. And why is that a myth? Because since WordPress 5.5, which came out August of 2020, I think it was 11th of August 2020, WordPress natively has the functionality to create sitemaps for you. So you don't need to install another plugin to create a sitemap for you, because WordPress will automatically do it for you. That is why it's a myth. And building on top of that, one of the key things or one of the most important things you need to install, or one of the most important plugins you need to have on your website, is a SEO plugin. So no matter what website you have, an SEO plugin is always recommended. It doesn't matter which SEO plugin you use, because all of them have, I'd say, some pros and some cons. But most of you, or I'd say 99% of your people, will install an SEO plugin on their website. And I'd say most SEO plugins, at least the top few ones, do include the functionality to create sitemaps for you. For example, Yoast does, I believe Rank Math also does, I believe All-in-One SEO also does have this functionality natively built in. So if you're already using a SEO plugin, which I assume most of you will do, you do not need to add any additional plugins just to create sitemaps on your site. And don't worry if you install a plugin that has sitemap functionality. For example, let's say you're using Yoast SEO and it has the functionality to create sitemaps, right? So it will detect if it is or the functionality is present inside WordPress, and it will disable it because it will recommend you to use the Yoast sitemap functionality. Doesn't matter where you use it. You can disable it in Yoast and use WordPress functionality, or vice versa. That doesn't matter. But the fact of the matter is you do not need to install a separate plugin on your website for creating sitemaps. I hope that myth is busted for you today. So talking about myth number 4 for the day is that every time you update WordPress or WordPress core, update your themes or your plugins, you're going to see performance improvements on your website. And this is a information, or this is a fact that I see plastered all over the web, that okay, you're not seeing improvements in your speed, or you want to speed up your website, just update your plugins, just update your themes, or update WordPress. And this is simply not true, unless the theme, the plugin, or WordPress, the update that you are updating to, was specifically designed to improve performance. For example, let's say you have updated from WordPress X to WordPress Y. If the update itself was not designed to improve performance, you're not going to see any performance improvements. Same goes for themes. Let's say you purchase a theme, or you already have a theme on your website. You update from X theme or X version of the theme to Y version of the theme. If the performance benefits were not coded by the developer team to have performance benefits on the site, you're not going to see any performance benefits. Same thing goes for plugins as well. Just because you updated a plugin does not mean you're going to see performance benefits, unless the theme or the plugin developer intended to have performance benefits on your site. Now, I'm not saying never update your themes, never update your WordPress core, but you should be vigilant, or I'd say you should understand when to update certain things and when to hold back on your updates. For example, whenever there's a bleeding edge release for anything, may it be WooCommerce, may it be WordPress, sometimes even themes and plugins have bleeding edge releases. This can have the opposite effect for your website's performance, because bleeding releases are full of bugs because they are bleeding edge releases. You can also call them as beta releases. They are sometimes buggy, which is completely okay. They are not performance optimized. That's perfectly fine. And they have features which are experimental and can break your site as well. So if, let's say, WordPress 5.8 is the latest version of WordPress, let's say WordPress 6 is in the roadmaps, I'm pretty sure it is. As soon as WordPress 6 comes out, and if you update to it, you are more likely to have problems on day one rather than seeing improvements on your site, even though if you'll be able to access all the beautiful features it has. But this is how software development works. So don't expect, or I'd say be vigilant about when you want to update your themes and plugins. So myth number 5 that I need to bust for today is that the faster website is the better it ranks. This is something that I have seen so many people talk about, and it's surprising to me that this myth still exists. Now, just to clarify, speed does have its benefits, but just because a website is fast doesn't mean it's going to rank higher in the search results. There's thousands of factors that Google considers when it decides to rank websites, and Core Web Vitals or even WordPress speed or website speed or whatever the term you would use to describe performance, or I'd say user experience in just terms of speed, doesn't, or has a very small benefit when it comes to comparing all the other factors stacked together. You have your website's content, you have the website's authority, you have links coming to the site, you have the actual content of your website. There's so many different factors, the competition. So just because you improve website speed, or if your entire goal is to have better search engine rankings, you should take a hard look at where you're spending your resources. And if most of your time is being spent on improving your website speed and your actual goal is to improve the traffic on your website, then you might be wasting your resources. And especially if your website is already, I'd say, performing very high, or I'd say moderately well for Google's Core Web Vitals. As I mentioned in the course as well, when Google has set some benchmarks for Core Web Vitals, which is LCP, FID, and CLS, so Google has set some good metrics, or say once you've crossed a certain amount of metrics on all 3 numbers, then Google says, okay, you're good to go. There is no excellent or below excellent, or I say above excellent numbers to achieve. So what Google is trying to tell you, which is my interpretation of what they're trying to tell you, if your website has certain benchmark performance, then having better performance than that will not improve your SEO or your rankings in the search results. Now, as I mentioned, speed has tons of other benefits. You have better user experience. Users love fast website. You might have better conversions on your website, and you might also see more registrations and all the important benefits that faster websites have. But just having a faster website does not mean you will start getting more traffic on your website. So coming to the 6th myth, or the last myth for the day that I'd like to bust for you, is that all hosts are the same, just go for the cheapest hosting option. And this is just bad advice, and this can be disastrous for your website if you don't know what you're doing. So just to give an example, I usually equate hosting companies with vehicles. The vehicle's job is to take you from point A to point B. But the question that most people do not address is that how fast are you reaching from point A to point B? How comfortable is it to reach from point A to point B? How amazing the experience is to reach from point A to point B? And the most important question, how many people together can sit in the car or the vehicle and reach from point A to point B? So what I mean by that analogy is that regardless of the host you have, their job is to host your website, right? They'll host your website. But how fast will they host your website? Will it be fast enough? How many visitors can come to your website at the same time and still have a decent experience? How good the experience is on using your website? Does everything load fast enough? How good the customer support is? And all these other factors that most people just seem to miss when talking about hosting companies, and they just look at the price. And the analogy, or the term that I use to describe, is that cheap can be expensive in the long run. So if you try to save a couple of bucks here and there on hosting your website, that small cost can become really expensive in the long run. If your website goes down, if you don't have backups, or you don't have great support, and you have some troubles in your website, and if your website is like say always slow, then you're losing out on customers, you're losing out on leads. So that can become really, really expensive in the long run. So don't cheap out on hosts. Always go, or I'd say find the best value for money. That's perfectly fine. But just don't look for the cheapest hosting provider. And if you like to have my recommendations of what host we recommend on Brainstorm Force, then we recommend 2 hosting companies. One is SiteGround and one is Cloudways. Both of them are amazing solutions, and both are great value for money for a variety of different hosting needs. So you can go for cheap options as well, and you have expensive options as well if you want to really host a fast, or I say you want to build a website that serves thousands of visitors a day or tens of thousands of visitors a day. And with that, I hope this myth is busted for you as well. If you like this kind of content, make sure to watch some of our other videos, and like this video, subscribe to our channel. You're watching and listening to Brainstorm Force and Yuvraj on this channel. I'll catch you in the next video. Till then, take care and stay safe.